So for a lot of people, the M18 is just kind of their very first awesome light tank. I mean, especially if you're starting in the US tech tree. Of course, you get the funny stuff like the Stewards, and then you get the funniest tank of all time, the M22. We love to see it. But I mean, is it really even that good? I don't know. Video for another day. But look, once you unlock something fantastic, something amazing, then you kind of understand how light tanks work. And that's when you get the Chaffee, because no, I'm not talking about the M18. The Chaffee is the best light tank in the entire game. This thing is goated, and it's because the firepower on it is exceptional, perfecto. Has a little bit of a stabilizer, has the scouting, has the 50 cal. It's fantastic. We love the M24 Chaffee. But this video is about a different tank. Because as much as we like the Chaffee, it's not really all that fast compared to some of the other stuff at that BR. It's not really in the same category as the M18's type of light tank. The light tank kind of gameplay where you drive really fast and that changes everything for you. So really, the first light tank that the US tech tree is going to be getting is the M18 Hellcat. And I did not like that. I heard a lot of people tell me, oh, you should play the M18. Oh, it's a fantastic tank. This thing's a sniping beast. This thing's a flanker. This thing's a winner. But for me, no, this thing sucked. I drove forward into the bad guys. I blew up. It was embarrassing. I didn't really like the M18. What can I say? And so, yeah, my stats in it are trash. But that's because, like most people, I didn't play this, like, seriously. You know, I was just kidding when I played this tank. I'm playing the game for fun. These stats are a joke. I played this 10 years ago when I was blindfolded. That's not me. I'm a different person now. Listen, you can come up with all the excuses you want to, but if you're negative at a tank, you suck. So I'm going to try and fix that today. I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper look at the M18 Hellcat because, let's be honest, this thing is supposed to be awesome, and I want to experience that awesomeness with you guys. The Hellcat uses the 76mm M1 cannon. Playing through the US tech tree, you have to make good friends with the 76, and let's just say we go way back. The 76 is the shining star of US Rank 3 ground. It was pretty easy to pick up and use for the first time, but then you played a little bit more, and then after a while, you slowly become a master of the 76. The velocity in the Hellcat is pretty nice, and with the buffed zoom the M18 got, or the unnerf, I suppose, the sight is pretty useful too. The M18 has about 6.5 second reload with expert qualifications and a high level crew. I mean, this is pretty standard for 6.0, and you won't be winning most fights thanks to the reload, but you shouldn't be losing them because of it either. This cannon is extremely versatile and has access to armor piercing, explodey shot, extra armor piercing does nothing shot, boom explosion, and boom smoke. M62 is going to be the basic shot that you bring out. It usually does a decent amount of damage post-pen and has enough pen to be a real threat for the enemy. APCR is basically just noob bait. I mean, you might think that because it's in the game, it must have a purpose for being there, but it really does not. The only scenario that this makes sense in is going through Tiger 2H face armor. The APCR has barely enough to get through and then do what exactly? Red the gunner? If you get yourself in a situation where you are forced to shoot only here, then you screwed up a long time ago. Just go for the muzzle brake. HE and smoke can open you up to big brain ideas. Smoke can hide flanking paths, protect you from casts, help you cap the objective, even temporarily shut down enemy sniper spots. Why don't more people do this? Because you aren't shooting at tanks if you're using smoke, and sometimes that kind of sucks. HE is always fun to bring out to counter light tanks. Overpressure just means that you can hit pretty much anywhere and kill an open top. Useful in some select situations. Always have some smoke and HE on hand. It's just a good idea. And speaking of always good to have, the M2 Brown, the pinnacle of Commander's machine guns, of anti-aircraft defense. Everyone is jealous, but they should be afraid. The 50 cal sounds really cool. It looks menacing, and it is destructive. Half-inch diameter chunks of metal flying at you at 3,000 feet per second sounds pretty damn powerful, but half-an-inch armor does not. The Hellcat's hull and turret is composed of half-inch rolled homogeneous armor. The Mantlet has some thicker armor, but you'll find that everywhere else is that real thin stuff. This is pretty bad, yet survivability-wise you can still get away with quite a lot in the M18. No armor best armor is a real thing in this game. When you're one-shotting those Tigers and T-34s with your M62 shot, the explosive filler detonates inside the crew compartment, dealing massive damage. However, this explosive filler only goes off after the fuse has penetrated enough armor. On thinner armor and lighter targets, shells can often not fuse and not explode in the tank, not dealing massive damage. It'll just go right through and do next to nothing. Fantastic. The commander is really just driving out here, exposing his entire self on the battlefield. You'd think he would try to crouch down a little more, but nah, he's a badass. It does kind of suck though, because it helps the M18 get comboed pretty easily. If you shoot center mass and get all but 2 crew, and the commander is still up there holding on for dear life, just use your MGs to finish him off. Super easy. One last survivability thing to mention is the transmission placement. With how APC-BC works in War Thunder, it's pretty important to remember where the transmission is. On tanks like Panthers or Tigers, the lower front plate is pretty weak and easy to get through, but the transmission will eat all the damage. Germans have their transmissions up in the front too. Sometimes these transmissions can be really trolly and prevent what should have been easy kills. Most nations made a technological leap forward in tank development by moving the transmission to the back of the tank. It was easier at first to fit the transmission closer to the driver up front, but moving it to the back allows you to add more important stuff on the front, like armor. An example would be the Soviet T-34. With nothing between the tank's frontal armor and its crew, this actually makes it an easier kill in War Thunder, as long as you can get through that front plate. This isn't just something that makes a tank more survivable in War Thunder though. Famously, the Israeli Merkavas were designed with the tank's power pack placed proudly up front. The idea behind this decision is the same as in War Thunder. The engine and transmission eat all the damage and save the crew. This is also pretty noticeable in War Thunder on the STRV-103. The Wedge has extremely sloped armor, transmission all the way up front, followed by the engine, followed by the spall liner, behind which the crew sits safely. With the transmission up front, the M18 earns an extra boost in survivability. But I mean, don't rely on this though. You're still going to get absolutely destroyed by anything and everything. Plus, all this engine block and gears are perfect for fuses on explosive filler. But sometimes you can still get away with the silly stuff, or at least I do. I'm not sure if my account has some sort of secret buff, but I can get away with some ridiculous stuff like all the time. User experience may vary. The M18 has an engine with 460 horsepower and a power-to-weight ratio of 26. What does that even mean? Well, 26 is really good. It's higher than something like a Term 3, but less than an MBT-70. Much better than the T-95 at a staggering 5.8. And it's surprisingly better than the Puma as well. Yeah, both of them. Lightweight, high engine power, thinner tracks, and a daredevil of a driver makes for an incredibly quick tank. It's simple, but this level of mobility opens you up to all sorts of exciting playstyles. This thing can do what? For every weakness that this tank has, for every benefit that you could take advantage of, there's an obvious solution. Light armor? Well, you can't dive in head first. Decent explosive filler? Well, you can just shoot them in the side. High top speed? Just drive around them. It's not rocket science, it's just patience. And a lot of War Thunder players like me don't want to be patient. Flanking is cool, but I just want to drive straight forward and get into the action as soon as possible. This is why for me, I've always enjoyed the assault tank over the light. I spawn the jumbo, drive to the middle of the map, get 6 kills, and get shot no less than 7 times in quick, overwhelming succession. With my M18, I do that exact same thing, but we just skip right ahead to the quick death, and it's very underwhelming. I don't like flanking. I enjoy my honorable death in the thick of battle. I don't like hiding on the outskirts, preying on targets of opportunity. It kind of feels like rat gameplay, and I don't like it. So let's try it out. In my mind, there are 2 roads to flanking: maneuvers and tactics. When you see someone in front of you and realize that you're driving a weak, light, rat little tank, you decide to drive around it. It's a simple tactic designed to win a quick engagement. Oh, just shoot him in the side. Well, here you go. Flanking tactics work really well in urban combat with lots of cover. If you can't hide behind buildings or some other cover, you kind of have to hide behind your armor. And we're not doing that today. The flanking tactic is pretty risky to pull off. If they know you're coming or where you're hiding, it's pretty easy to defeat the tactic. Ooh, I'm cooked. A maneuver is a bigger idea. Tactics are made up on the spot and are very situational depending on the enemy, the cover, and your positioning. Maneuvers require thought, premeditation, conspiracy to commit rat-like gameplay. It's kind of gross. Some people really live for this side of the game though. If you know of a decent spot on the map, it's probably one that has good sight lines into either the enemy spawn or the side of where all the tanks are pushing into. This is the part that takes a ton of patience and time.
I absolutely staunchly refuse to move.
You know, 3 minutes is a while, so I've got something here to keep your attention for a little bit while I'm waiting.
Dude, it takes forever to turn the fucking turret.
I mean, it should just be a little bit longer and... Oh,
There he is. And he shot me, and he shot me right away. I lost like crew. I wasn't even moving.
Okay, let's get back to playing the game. The gun is awesome at 5.0. Now up at 6.0, the 76mm is obviously going to be performing a little bit differently. You have to be much more precise and put more effort into your shot placement. At 5.0, you could pretty much shoot anywhere, and that was awesome. At 6.0, it's the same gun, and now it's just really easy to miss. That's why I like the Jumbo, because you could get closer to increase accuracy and make the important shots that count. At range, making those precise shots becomes really challenging. Closing the distance helps quite a lot. But now we're in the Hellcat. Close range really shouldn't be an option. Light armor and exposed crew means if it's easier for you to shoot them, it's easier for them to shoot you. Your goal should be to make it as difficult as possible for the enemy to kill you. Use cover, play at range, and drive behind them. Concealment is your best friend in the Hellcat. Mind games and repositioning will help greatly. The point is to be sneaky and to get to where your gun becomes more effective. The sides. The explosive filler will get you the one shot if you can get through. But I want to sprinkle a little bit of reality here. Not every game is going to be some magical demonstration of the perfect flanking maneuver. If you play conservatively and bratty, most games you should have more assists than kills. You can't actually shoot every tank in the side, you won't actually one-shot everything, and you won't always get into the best spots that you want to. But that's not the point. This is a light tank in War Thunder. The point is that you should be scouting everything that you possibly can. Information is a game changer for your team. Probably not for those guys. Ideally, knowing where the enemy is should be a great thing for your team. Fortunately, War Thunders kind of recognized the flaw in this reasoning and gave your scouting tank some incentive. You earn more points, and everything gets cheaper to spawn in. Everything like airplanes.
Hey,
Did you shoot me? Hey,
No.
hey.
Wait a second. Chaos. Absolute chaos.
The Hellcat isn't good because of the gun or the armor, it's good because it has speed. The tank's attributes should determine your playstyle in it. With good armor, you can make the fight last longer and survive the enemy. With good firepower, you become a threat to the enemy team, something for them to work around and to avoid, something to fear. Mobility gives you a choice. Which direction will you choose to go? And which way will they choose to come from? Somewhere, somehow, the Hellcat will be waiting for you. So I hope you made the right decision. The Hellcat's hull and turret is